Hi guys and girls, I'm Obsidian Ant and welcome back to Elite Dangerous. Here I am once again on the opposite side of the galaxy with my commander Pompey III. Now I'm still quite a ways from the very edges of the galaxy, about 10,000 light years or so in fact, but I'm getting there. In this video I came across some of the most impressive planets I've so far found within Elite, and we'll get to them in a little while. First up though, I just want to take a quick look at a few other systems. Now, long gone are the days where I'm looking for high-valued planets. I do come across the occasional Earth-like or water world, but on the odd occasion I'll even skip by them. This seemed to be one of the more valuable systems I'd come across recently, with quite a lot of high metal content planets here. But even then, I skipped by the majority of it. I just no longer have the desire for the tagged by name or the credits on these particular journeys. What does interest me though, by quite a significant amount, are the lovely, gorgeous planets that are out here. And whilst there's still quite a few planets that look a bit flat, that look a bit the same, you can on occasion come across some very impressive examples. All of those though are usually landable ones. On the odd occasion you come across the nice planet that you can't land on, like this lava world here. And although I've absolutely no idea when or if we'll ever be able to land on these, they're still quite nice places to get a little flyby of. Finding lava worlds like this one can sometimes be a bit of a task. They're not all that common, so like I say, when I do come across them, I do like to at least have a quick look, and on the odd occasion you'll find one of these that's ringed. At any rate, it wasn't until much further into my journey that I come across some planets that really did pique my interest. This one here, surprisingly, had already been discovered. Now, like I say, I'm many thousand light years away from Sol, in an area of space that is quite well travelled. This is one of the paths, or near one of the paths, for the Distant Worlds expedition, so I guess after all it's not too much of a surprise. But from the system map there you could see that this world is actually pretty large, and we'll have a look at just how large it is as we get the data coming in there. And you can see it has around 16 Earth masses, so quite large and should have relatively high gravity. But ultimately it was neither the size of this world nor the amount of gravity here that gained my interest. What I did find interesting was these craters here. From this distance it appeared that they were filled with quite thick, heavy mist. Now this mist comes from a process known as outgassing, and that's where the gases from the inside of the planet escape to the exterior of the planet, and they're held in place by gravity. However, because these planets have got no atmosphere, the gases ultimately disperse. Yet before that happens, they can hang around in low depressions around the planet, in this case craters like this large one here. Now as you travel around the galaxy and check out craters like this one here filled with mist, you'll notice that the quality of the mist varies considerably. Sometimes it can be very thin and sometimes it can be extremely thick, and in addition to that the colours can also vary quite a lot. Distance can be very deceptive on the larger worlds. If you look towards the horizon you can see there's a very small curvature there, and even though at that point I was still nearly 20 kilometres up, that is simply down to the fact that the planet is so large. On the smaller worlds you'll notice the curvature is much more pronounced, but at any rate as I get closer here to the surface you can see the mist taking effect. The combination of the star here, the mist and the formation of the crater just offers up one of the most gorgeous and stunning locations. This truly has all the hallmarks of exceptionally well produced procedural generation. As an explorer, these are the types of locations I can spend an age looking for, and once here it's possible to spend a lot of time just looking around and taking in all that the landscape has to offer. Unfortunately, at this far out in space there's no real gameplay to be found, no points of interest and nothing like that, but when you do come across an area as rich as this one, for me it more than makes up for that. Yet I always find myself surprised that despite the fact that the game has the capabilities of providing an abundance of areas like this one, they're rarely, if never, used as a backdrop for games' community goals, combat or other such events. After all, it's locations like this that many games would strive to achieve with handcrafted content. After spending quite some time then in the beautiful craters of that particularly large planet, it was time to head off and look for some other sites. Now exploration within Elite is a long and fairly intensive process. You can go through jump after jump, many dozens of them, in some cases many hundreds, without coming across anything too interesting. Fortunately for me though, I come across another few planets, just a few jumps away from the larger planet back there, Now this one looked particularly interesting. It grabbed my attention because of the speed at which it's rotating, although there's a few of them here at that speed, but also because it appeared as though it would have some fairly interesting surface features. And here you can see we've come to the opposite scale. This is one of the very small planets, and it's pocked with all sorts of craters. Coming out of orbital cruise here near the terminator, you can see that the light from the sun casts some quite harsh shadows across the planetary surface here. And as we get closer to the planetary surface, you can see that the backlight, or the ambient light, kicks in and starts making everything look a little bit brighter than it did when we were up higher. Now this is something I've seen a lot of people comment on, that when you go to the dark side of a planet, it actually starts brightening up. This is something that Frontier say that they want to fix eventually, and the current solution is just a temporary one. Ultimately, Frontier want the light on the planet to be calculated by a number of environmental factors, and for now that's not really happening. So at least it's something that's still being worked on, and I look forward to seeing that as a result. It's curious really to think that before Horizons I was always looking for Earth-like planets and planets with an atmosphere, and now with landable planets the more interesting looking ones are the ones without atmosphere. This rocky looking small world here is riddled with massive canyons. Another interesting feature here is the gases on the surface of the planet. At the edge there, they give it the appearance almost as though it's got a very thin atmosphere. Unfortunately, this world doesn't have any active volcanism. That's something I would have liked to have seen, and due to the small size of this world, I suspect that any volcanic features would have been quite easy to find. One of the most interesting aspects of this world then were the poles of the planet. Both the north and the south are covered with ice. It's something that you do see happen quite regularly, but not so much on the smaller worlds, and quite often you don't see it displayed as white here on the map. And closer down to the surface of the planet, you can once again see the effect that the mist has here, like I say, giving it an appearance of nighttime, a little bit of atmosphere almost. And that thickens up somewhat as we descend down into this massive canyon here. Now for some reason, since the recent patches of Elite, I've been having a few stuttering issues. You can see that taking effect out the left hand side of my ASP window as the land scrolls by. In just a bit I switch on the frame rate counter and you can see that I have a pretty constant 50 frames a second round here. So that shouldn't really be giving me stuttering like this. If anyone has any clues as to what might be going on, I'd love to hear from you. Do let me know in the comments section. But I've found that a way to fix it is just to put the frame rate lock to 45 frames a second, and that seems to get rid of any of the problems. Down at the bottom of the canyon then, there are massive towers of ice, and there's small little canyons in between each of these. If I was brave enough this far out from home, I would take my ASP down and fly through those canyons, but I don't want to smash my ship up and find myself taking a quick journey back. But what I did want to do is get out into my SRV and have a bit of a look around closer to the ground. So some really nice worlds and environments found out this far. It's a journey I'm going to slowly continue to make. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.